Hey, I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. Today I want to talk a little bit about the Vestron Collector's Series. Now, the first time I was aware of the Vestron Collector's Series, I saw Sundown, the Vampires in Retreat, sitting on the shelf at Walmart. And I was like, I really like that cover design. And I had just recently purchased a Blu-ray copy of the film. This is also Blu-ray. The Vestron Collector's Series so far have all been Blu-ray. None of them are in 4K, unfortunately. But anyway, so I saw this and I really liked the cover art. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go look into this Vestron Collector's Series some more. And then I realized I actually had some of the other movies already in my collection. I had Return of the Living Dead 3, Warlock, and Waxwork and Waxwork II, which we will talk about. This is what we're really doing the video about. But I want to tell you a little bit about the Vestron Collector's Series. So the Vestron Video Collector Series is a line of classic and unique genre films remastered and numbered and packed with special features. They're a little easier to collect because of the price point than something like a Shout Select or Criterion, which is going to be very challenging to collect all of the Criterion collection. But the first one they put out was Chopping Mall, which I had to go back and get, and the second one was Blood Diner. So I may eventually do reviews on these, but today we're going to talk about Waxwork and Waxwork II, Lost in Time. Both of these films star Zach Galligan, and they're both directed by Anthony Hitchcock. And they both of them do commentary on both of the films. The first time I saw Waxwork 1, it was on USA Up All Night, and I'd seen Gremlins, and I knew Zach Galligan from Gremlins, and I thought it was pretty cool seeing him in a horror movie like this. Now, something that it may not be apparent at first, but both of these movies, the second one's more obvious, but the first one, it does fall in a horror comedy genre. So at first, it does seem like it kind of might be straightforward, and some of the director's decisions and some of the things that the actors do or say may come off as bad choices. But if you think about it, they are coming at this with a little bit of humor. They're not taking it completely serious. If you have that in mind, you can excuse some of these things. So the film is about a group of kids. Well, I guess it's not really kids. They're high schoolers, and Zach Galligan's one of them. He's the main character. It also has Dana Ashbrook in it from Twin Peaks, which I thought was really awesome. I was familiar with him as well when I first watched this. So he's those two guys, and then there's Deborah Foreman is kind of the mousy girl of the group, and I don't remember the other actress's name, but her character's name's Chiana, I think, or Chia. But anyway, so there's those two, and then there's two other randos. So they randomly get invited to this house of wax. David Warner, who I knew him from this, I think initially, but many people may know him from Titanic. He's also the evil guy in Time Bandits at the end. I think David Warner was an excellent actor, but he plays the main villain in this one, in the first Waxwork, and so he's the one that invites them to the Waxwork. So they all show up there at night, and it's very awkward. David Warner's character is nowhere to be seen. Instead, there's this little person here, a very weird dude that lets them in, and he has them sit down in a parlor room, and then this other big tall dude kind of randomly comes in the room with drinks, and he yells at him to leave, that he hasn't asked for the drinks yet. But then he eventually shows them to the Waxwork exhibits, and he lets them go and take a look at them. As they're looking, the four kids, two of the kids, now 6 of them came, but then 2 of them kind of got scared and they left, which was a pretty cool thing to do. But then there's a reason for that, because later they come back. But so the 4 kids go in, or the 4 teenagers, or really adult teenagers, they go in and they're looking at the exhibits. So as they start to look at the exhibits, they all get separated, probably because of some kind of magic coming from this time portals that the Waxworks has created, because each exhibit has a monster in it. I think there's 19 of them, and each one has a monster, and some of them have victims already. The ones that don't have victims yet kind of call forth these people to come into the exhibits. Now, when they go into the exhibits, they go through a time portal and they end up in the realm. Like the first one, that Dana Ashbrook's character goes into a werewolf exhibit, and he ends up at this cabin in another, in this werewolf type of world, and he ends up fighting a werewolf, and he gets killed. Unfortunately, he's the first one that gets killed, and it happens within the first like 25 minutes or so. And so then it's established that then he becomes one of the Waxwork figures. So then that's established, and we get to see 4 of these worlds in the first film. The budget was kind of tight, but we get to see a Dracula world, and we get to see a mummy, and then the last one is the Marquis de Sade, who is a real person, but here he is a torturer. And then we get to see most of the other monsters come to life at the end, and there's a big battle with the monsters. So it's a pretty cool movie. Now the second one, they don't really have a waxwork in the second one, but they used the time portals in it. One of the monsters, which is a severed hand, escapes at the end of the first one. Now in the second movie, Zach Galligan returns, but not Deborah Foreman. Now, Deborah Foreman's character survives the first movie, but her character comes back. But apparently her and the director were dating, and then so that's why she didn't come back for the second one, as they had broken up, and it wasn't a good breakup. Unfortunately, it kind of messes the movie up a little bit, though I do like the actress that replaces her. She looks nothing like her. She's kind of a model, but actually I kind of like her performance. It's just weird that the character is completely different. I mean, everything about her is different. Even like in the first one, she seems like a higher class, rich person. Her parents seem well off. In the second one, her dad's like a kind of hillbilly, almost like a trailer trash hillbilly, and he gets killed by the severed hand, and then she ends up on trial. But then after that, they figure out her and Zach Galligan get this time like necklace thing from his uncle to open up time doors, and so that's how they go into the time doors to get evidence, to prove that their severed hands do exist, and they go through different monster worlds through there. It's a similar concept, though there's no waxwork involved, but it does incorporate the time door aspect, and it does have Alexander Godunov in it, he died too early, but he was in Die Hard. He was the big Russian dude with the blonde hair that Bruce Willis fights. He's also in The Money Pit. And several movies I saw as a young adult, so I was very familiar with him. This is one of his later films, and he plays a villain in it. It also has Bruce Campbell in the movie, which is funny because both of these movies are kind of horror comedy, reminiscent of The Evil Dead. And then Bruce Campbell is in. He goes back in time, and it's kind of a haunting, like the Haunting movie, like the original The Haunting. And it's in black and white, and they're at that kind of house, and Bruce Campbell's one of the investigators, and he has a pretty decent part in it. So let's just take a look real quick at this presentation here. So here we got the cover to Waxwork, the first one, and then we have 2 discs. We have Waxwork and Waxwork II. It's very nice to put them on 2 separate discs, as they should have, and there is a reversible cover here that has you can reverse it to see the Waxwork II cover. So that's what that looks like. As far as the transfer, it could use a 4K upgrade. I think it would look a lot better. I don't think it looked horrible. It is. I mean, it looked fine for what it is, but you could tell that I think if you saw a 4K transfer of this film, that there would be a huge difference in the quality of it. Again, it doesn't look horrible, but I don't see a lot of detail throughout in areas where if it upgraded to 4K, you would see more detail. But at the same time, some of the effects may not hold up as well in 4K. Now, the first time I saw Waxwork and even Waxwork II, I really enjoyed these films. Upon a rewatch, maybe I didn't like them quite as much, but it took me a little while on the first one. Some of the decisions by the director and the actors I thought were questionable, but once I got my mind into the fact that it is a horror comedy and not a straight horror, then at that point I was able to relax and enjoy the movie more. As far as rating these films, I'm going to rate the first Waxworks 4 out of 5 stars. Now, that might seem high to some people, but there is a nostalgic factor in it for me. And the movie I will admit that it is a bad movie, but it is a good bad movie. And Waxwork 2, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I don't like it that the Deborah Foreman doesn't come back for it. That kind of hinders it a little bit. And the fact that they don't really have waxwork in the film. I do like the time doors, but it would have been nice to reconnect with another waxwork in some way. But I do like the way they were able to piggyback off of the end of the first one and segue into the second one. So they keep that continuity. It's just not the continuity with the main actress in it. So anyway, if you've seen Waxwork and or Waxwork 2, let me know what you think about it. And also let me know what you think about the Vestron Collector Series in general. And the question is, should I do more reviews? Should I do one on Sundown the Vampire in Return? I probably will one day, maybe. But if you haven't done so already, if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm Dave Watkins. Thanks for watching.